Hello there. Today I'm going to talk about two films made from the books of Richard Stark, which the video is called Not Quite Parker because they're based on a character called Parker, but they changed the name of the lead character because it was a serious character, and sometimes they change the name because you don't write the character, you're just doing the story. So one film was made in the 70s and one film was made in the 90s, and you can see the difference pretty quickly. So Donald E. Westlake wrote these books under the name Richard Stark. And Westlake was a proper writer who also could do pulpy stuff. He could do stuff under his own name or someone under Richard Stark's name. But under Richard Stark, he wrote these Parker novels, which are about a criminal who got into all sorts of trouble to try and do his score. So there's going to be a new Shane Black movie coming out in October, with the character as well. So I'll probably do a video on that when it comes out. Or play dirty. But these two are two films without the character name, and they also, I don't think they're wholly successful films. Now, I've not read the books, but I'm a big fan of Point Blank, which is this Lee Marvin and John Boorman film where the character's called Walker. It's his own thing. It does the book, but does it in a kind of dreamlike way. It's not trying to be the book. It takes certain things from the book and does its own thing with it, where instead of being about the underworld, it's underworld, but the underworld is very organised and is almost corporate. In these films, underworld still based on the underworld. It's still kind of like a street level operations, where in Point Blank is less so. But I will ignore Point Blank from now on, so I'm not going to refer back to it. I've done a video on Point Blank if you're interested. But I'll start with the outfit. It's directed by John Flynn, and who did Rolling Thunder and a bunch of other films like Bestseller. He's one of those directors that gets some praise from people like Tarantino that I don't think is that good. I think he's fine. He's like a B-level director, and that's good if you're wanting like a B-level film. But he's always very he's basically needing a good script. So if you catch him in a film that's not got a good script, he can't elevate it. And he seems to have a problem with his leading men, I found in his films, where his supporting actors seem to do better than his leading men. Now, I've already covered Rolling Thunder and I've went into my problems with that. So this is the outfit, and it's based on a Stark novel called The Outfit, and it comes after the novel the base Point Blank on. So basically, the Parker character played by Robert Duvall is out of jail, and he's had a score that's been successful, but now his brother gets killed while he's in jail, and people are out to kill him. So he decides to go to war with the outfit for revenge on his brother and to get his money. And that's it. That's the story. And what the film is really about is him cutting through the outfit in various lower level operations before they get to the main guy, played by Robert Ryan, who's the best part of the film. Him and Joe Don Baker. Joe Don Baker plays his sidekick, who's getting threatened by these people because they knew he used to work with Parker. So he has to join up with them to try and take down these guys. And he's like a good old boy type of character, very different from the no-nonsense Parker character. And he works brilliantly. Him and Robert Ryan as a villain, they are like the two actors that keep this thing going. And there's a lot of interesting like people you'll recognise and supporting parts throughout the film that you've seen in a lot of 70s films. So it's well cast around the lead, but the lead's not well cast. And it's amazing because it's Robert Duvall playing the lead, and you're thinking, well, he is good in almost everything. But he's not good in this one. He's okay in this one. That's it. As far as I go, he's okay. But it's like, it's an actor knowing what he's meant to do and doing an approximation of it, but he's not really into it. It's not like Gene Hackman and the French Connection, where Gene Hackman hated the character but get so brutalised by William Friedkin to do the character that he did it. And this one, it feels like an actor uncomfortable with the character and he's going through the motions. And it's funny because Duvall was good at playing the downside of macho characters. He was very good at that in the 70s. But in this one, he just seems to be like uncomfortable, is the best way to put it. He just feels like he's doing a professional job, but it's not quite coming together in the performance. He doesn't feel sharp enough in the scene he's meant to be sharp in. His best scene is with Robert Ryan at the stable when he's negotiating with him. That's the best scene for him in the film, where he has to really step his game up against Robert Ryan because he's such a good actor. And when he's with Joe Don Baker, he's a bit more fun, but you don't feel the coldness of Parker. You don't feel the character feels he should have. And when he's visiting the widow of his brother, it's when she's like damning him for stuff, his reaction feels kind of vague, and it's just like, eh. Again, that was what happened to Devaney and Rolling Thunder. It's like, Flynn just wasn't good at leading actors. He was good at characters who were come in and popped in and out, but it seemed to be a real problem with like the actual lead actors. So the film has this kind of baggage going on with its lead actor. And the first two-thirds of the film, because the narrative is based on a book that has incidents that are interesting, and Joe Don Baker and Robert Ryan keep it going, so the incidents happen and they're motoring through the film, it keeps it enjoyable. But you're still thinking, I wish someone else would lead. And then you get to the final third, where it's just, we're going to attack the villain's place, which is a typical ending for a film like this, and it gets a bit boring, and it's like, I've seen this, and the rest of the film had more invention, and now this is you're just going for the basic ending, and it's like, this is not that interesting. So the film is a kind of mixed bag. I remember liking it when I was younger, but when I rewatched it, it was like, it's not quite there. And because it came out not long after Charlie Varick, which is a much better film, which had Joe Don Baker in it. And I was doing my Don Siegel with Motomato, and it was a much more inventive film, all about a guy trying to survive danger of the mob, and it was a much more lifelike film. And this outfit's just this thing that's just there. It's just like, it's professional, and apparently it's closer to the books than Point Blank, but it's not inspired. It's just like one of those films. It's like, God, I wish it was better. I wish they'd cast someone different. You know, I mean, if they cast James Caan and sat on him and said, you can't go full macho on this, you may have had something, but Duvall just doesn't seem to really have the drive that this character needs, this kind of subtle drive and callousness, which is odd since he's good at that in other films. It's just like, what's happened in this film? Did him and the director not get on? I don't know, but it just feels like his performance just doesn't work. So now I'll go to Payback. Payback's a weird film because it depends on how old you are, but this is a film that's famously reshot and kicked around by Mel Gibson, who plays Porter in this film, but we'll just call him Parker, just like I did with the last one. They shot a film. Brian Helgeland directed it and wrote it. It was his pet project to be his first film. Mel Gibson was working on a film with him and saw the script and said, I like this, I want to do it. So they shot the film, and then Gibson had second thoughts about it and some doubts because the character was pretty brutal and pretty nasty and with no redeeming features. So reshoots happened. The director was let go. They brought in a new writer to redo the last third. A torture scene was added, voiceover was added, other scenes were added for jokes, and the film became what it became, which was a piece of trash, basically. I saw this film in the cinema. I was not impressed. It was really... It is a remake of Point Blank. It's the same thing. Parker gets shot after a job. He has to come back and get revenge and get his money back. The guy who betrayed him used his wife to betray him, so he has to deal with his wife as well, and get into the organisation and get his money back. And he's just looking for his money back. He doesn't want all of it. He just wants his share. And that's a good premise. But the film, the theatrical version, tried to be cool as hell, and it again had torture scenes. It had lots of stuff going on that just wasn't working. It was just trying too hard. You're making a criminal, trying to make a criminal likable, which was not the Parker character. So I avoid the original theatrical cut. I just don't like it. It's terrible. But the thing is, after all that happened, and when we went to Blu-ray, DVD and Blu-ray, eventually Gibson said, well, what happened was unfair to the director. He's on to other stuff. Let's just release the original version with the theatrical cut so that people can see what the differences were. So he did the right thing eventually and said, okay, the theatrical version wasn't bad. It was just the Visco wasn't bad. I just wasn't what I was wanting. So in this, you get both cuts, and you get documented what happened behind the scenes. And the director's cut is so much better than the theatrical. It's quite insane how it's one of those things. It is sort of like Black Hat case where the original director's cut was so much better than the released version. It's like, why didn't you just release this? What was the problem? So the director's cut basically gets rid of the voiceover. There's no voiceover. Your Parker character is a sociopath who's going around doing all these horrible things, but also he gets beaten up a lot. He's not infallible. He's dealing with a lot of characters who are difficult, and because there's no longer any voiceover trying to be cute, the acting suddenly, the performances that seem too much in the theatrical cut are now feel much further back and less in your face, and feel much more like off characters within a film rather than trying to be a cool film. Like the last third is completely different and much better, much more downbeat. And essentially it's about gagging through all these things, and it's showing you how difficult a score is, how difficult the life of crime is, and how flawed all these characters are. And there's no commentary on it by the voiceover. It's just like, this is what it's like. Now there's still some performances that are theatrical. David Payback plays this low-level crook who is a bit theatrical, but it works in this cut when it didn't in the theatrical. Greg Henry as the guy who betrayed Gibson works better in this cut because he's just a guy who's deluding himself into thinking he's important, rather than in the theatrical he just felt wrong, and that's a good actor. So it's like, why is his performance so wrong here? It's just like cutting back and pulling back and just letting the film be just helps it. There's something that happens in the director's cut where a dog gets shot and the dog's dead. The dog was a guard dog for Maria Bello's character, who was the ex of Mel Gibson from years ago, and she's a high-class prostitute. And the dog gets shot and dies. And in the reshoot, the dog lives because they're big softies and they can't kill a dog. There's just stuff like that happens all the time. Things that are willfully cruel allowed to breathe in this version. You get a sense of the world in this version. It's not swamped by how cool Mel Gibson's character is meant to be. It's like, he's just a schmuck trying to get his money back. He's good at his job, but he's in over his head. And it's a very bleak world where people are petty and nasty, and you can't trust anybody. And it's really well done. And it's not a perfect film. It's obviously a first film. There are things that there are momentum issues going into this final third that could have been solved by a couple of simple reshoots with the director. You didn't need to, like, total the last third. Because when you get to the finale in this one, there's a shootout at a train station. It's really well done, and it shows you Parker using tactics. And even then, it still doesn't work because things go wrong. And there's lots of little details that work really well. And Gibson's quite good in this version. He's much more stoic, he's much more brutal, so when there's signs of humanity, it comes across more. And all the actors just seem to be in space more. This is still not a great film, but it's an enjoyable one. It still doesn't hold a candle to Point Blank. But I would say the Payback director's cut is better than the Outfit in lots of ways. The Outfit has more standout performances by Jordan Baker and Robert Ryan, but the Payback director's cut is more consistent, and it doesn't have that void at the centre of the film like the Outfit does. So those are two films that are Parker light. I don't know what you call it, but I still prefer Point Blank. I still rather watch Point Blank than either of those two. But they are decent, B movies based on these novels. I couldn't say either of them were amazing, but they're definitely worth watching. But if you're going to watch Payback, watch the director's cut. Do not watch the theatrical cut. The theatrical cut's awful. And it's amazing because it takes a lot of scenes around the director's cut and somehow brutalises them horribly. So I hope you enjoyed this video. That's me for now. Right, bye.